This episode of Biters is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code Southgate to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
Hey everybody, this is Diane. Welcome to Biters.
And this is Marnell with new and improved audio.
Yes. So what's today?
Today is my birthday.
Yay! Today's the best day. I love my little sister.
For my birthday, I got pro podcasting equipment. Ironically,
we now have matching mics.
Yes, both Alaskan Housewives have Yeti mics. They're not a sponsor, but wouldn't that be funny? Real Alaskan Housewives, Yeti.
Yeah.
Like Great White North, Yeti.
Totally. We're depending on it.
Right? Right? Send me a paycheck, Yeti.
Or two. So we're doing a retrospective episode.
We are.
I decided.
Your retrospective episode.
Right.
I haven't decided on mine yet.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you choose.
Yeah. I'm going to try and go with one of the earlier seasons since I didn't podcast them.
Very good.
Yeah.
Well, this was from a season that Kirk and Jeff did together, so that's
right.
Not the only reason I chose it. I chose it because I love it. But this is, let's see, season 4, episode 5.
Internment. Way, way back in 2013.
I know. I looked at the date. It was November 10th, 2013. That's when it previewed. Premiered.
Isn't that insane? Like 5 full years ago.
Right.
It feels like a century.
It does. Oh my gosh. Watching this episode with so many characters who are now gone.
Baby Carl!
I know.
And like baby Judith, like to the point that like they don't even show her on screen because it's like, we roll through infants so quick in filming that we're just going to like not show her. We'll allude to her.
Yeah. Yeah, this was an early episode.
Yeah.
So, how did you rate it?
It is so difficult to rate one that is so old when we have 9 seasons now. You know, I mean, it's very, very hard to compare to like season 1, and it's very, very hard to compare to season 9. So I went very middle of the road and rated it a 3.7 Steinbeck novels.
Oh, 3.7?
I know. Like, I'm like, I don't know why this is her favorite episode. And you don't even know why it's your favorite episode. It just is. So it was really middle of the bookish for me. So you're going to have to convince me.
Wow. Well, so I have to say I gave it a 5 out of 5 awesome soundtracks.
Oh, dear Lord. And I agree with the awesome soundtrack.
This is truly a 5 for me. And what's really interesting is I said to you, I've watched this so many times that I watched it once before this podcast, but I didn't feel like I needed to do a rewatch because I've seen it several times. I don't know that it would be a 5 now. But just like Andrew Lincoln said in Love Actually, to me, it's perfect.
Did you read the Jezebel article?
I did. That was hilarious.
Did it ruin Love Actually for you?
It didn't, because our podcast kind of did.
I softened the blow.
By the way, Nikki Campbell-Keith thought it was very funny. So thank you, Nikki.
Thank you, Nikki.
Yes.
We try. So, okay, have you watched season 4 like a whole bunch, or is it just this episode?
No, I've watched season 4 a whole bunch. For some reason, I really love season 4.
Huh.
Like, season 4 was really the pinnacle for me.
That's interesting.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't have a good explanation why. I mean, I think it's because of the evolution of Daryl and Beth's relationship. I think it's because of the level of action in season 4. I really love season 4.
I feel like that we were either introduced to or lost or both very, very important characters in season 4.
Mm-hmm.
Because we were introduced to Tara. I don't know if Tyrese was introduced in season 4. Tyrese and
They were actually introduced in season 3, but we didn't get a lot of them in season 3. Tyrese and Sasha.
yes. And then Michonne, she was introduced in season 3?
No, at the end of season 2.
End of season 4.
Yeah.
Really?
End of season 2 was when they did the there's this mysterious woman with walkers chained to her.
That was the very, very last episode.
Right. And then season
Okay.
3 we actually got Denai Guerrera as Michonne.
Oh, God, how long were we in the prison?
Season 3 and part of season 4.
We weren't in it in season 2?
No, season 2 was Herschel's farm.
Okay. Wow. See, it has just been so long. I really need to binge.
I was going to say, you have not gone back and obsessively rewatched like I have.
No, I haven't. You and Thomas O'Mara go back and obsessively rewatch Walking Dead. I am still stuck in 2002 watching Buffy.
So Buffy is probably your comfort place.
It is.
Like when you can't find anything else to watch, or if you're feeling really down, that's something that you do.
So I have to admit I'm a total water waster because in Juneau we don't have metered water because it falls from the sky naturally. So we tend to roll through like hot showers and hot baths and things like that fairly quickly. And so like in the morning I take a shower and I wash my hair because I have to. And then at night to relax, like 4 or 5 times a week, I usually take a hot bath in the evening. And that's when I watch like 1 or 2 episodes of something in the bath on my laptop. So North Korea's seen me naked a whole bunch. But so I am currently like right at the last season of Buffy. So maybe I'm gonna I either have to rewatch Walking Dead, or I gotta roll into the new season of Orange is the New Black.
Or you have to just start with season 1 of Buffy all over again. Which I have been known to do with The Walking Dead. So
it's got to simmer, but I really, really need to go back and watch Angel, which is the kind of branch off to Buffy, because Phil and Lilith Hellfire are doing a retrospective podcast for Angel. And shout out to Lilith. She's a fellow Sagittarius. Her birthday was also this month. Yes. So happy birthday to her.
Happy birthday, Lilith.
Yes. So yeah, I really need to up my game now that I have real podcasting equipment and go back and watch obsessively all of Walking Dead.
Well, I'll join you.
And I gotta do it in like the next week or 2 because I need to figure out my favorite episode.
Well, it doesn't even have to be a favorite episode. It just has to be an episode that you would like to talk about.
Okay.
I mean, we've got a little bit of time to fill before February 10th.
That makes it easier, but it doesn't narrow it down.
No, it doesn't narrow it down
I'm
at all.
sure there's going to be a ton of episodes that I just need to talk about.
No, so what I can honestly tell you is nothing from season 1 and nothing from season 9, but other than that, it's fair game. So
right. Yep. 2 through 8.
Mm-hmm.
That narrows it down. Like one, like 8th, 9th, something like that.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
2 ninths. 1.5 ninths.
Right. 1.5.
If you can have a fraction of a fraction. Sure, you can have a fraction of a fraction. This is advanced math.
It's new math.
So speaking of math, I actually found numbers for this episode, and it was huge.
I will bet, because that's still back when people were like watching TV.
12.2 million live plus same day views.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow. Like season premieres and season finales don't even get double digits anymore,
Right.
I don't think.
No. No.
That's
and critical acclaim for this episode as well.
Really?
Mhm.
What am I missing? Did I watch the right episode?
I'm pretty sure you did. It sounds like we were talking about the same episode before we logged on. We both agreed it was called Internment.
Right. Wow. Okay.
So on the title, Internment, I actually looked up the definition because I wanted to be sure that I was being intelligent.
Okay, me too.
And it said the state of being confined as a prisoner.
Right.
So, which is kind of, I think it's a reference obviously to the prison, but it's also all of these sick people are basically incarcerated in this one cell block.
Yeah, I mean, that's protocol. You quarantine the sick.
Mm-hmm.
But there was a couple of moments, and one in specific when I don't quite remember when it was, but Herschel looked up at everyone who had come out of their cell to look at the commotion.
Right. Back
and he's
in
like,
your cells.
Everyone's back in your cells.
Yeah.
And I was just like, wow, harsh.
But, the point of keeping them locked in so that if someone dies, they can't get out and spread.
Well, and he also was really, really sensitive about everyone not seeing the horrible stuff that was going on. It was kind of like if he could just keep everyone from seeing, like, other people dying or suffering, they would keep up their hope, and, they would, and the Steinbeck quote, "A sad soul can kill quicker than a germ."
Mm-hmm.
Far quicker than a germ. And so, I think he wanted to kind of preserve everyone's hope in hopes that they would keep their spirits up and try and fight whatever disease was ravaging the prison at that time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Speaking of whichever disease, so, it supposedly was kind of a pandemic flu kind of thing. I have to tell you, this flu bug looked an awful lot like Ebola.
Okay, the bleeding from the
eyes. There was a lot of blood. Yeah.
Yeah, the aspirating blood.
Yeah.
Yeah. That, and I can't help but think of when you're in confined quarters like that, like dorm rooms and barracks and things like that.
Like how much more quickly things spread.
Oh, wildfire. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's the nastiest stuff that spread. It's influenza and meningitis and things like that. So.
And I don't want to minimize the flu. Get your flu shot. But,
I did.
But this was a particularly virulent looking flu, if in fact it was the flu.
Yeah. I'm totally a vaxxer, but I have a compromised immune system, so I kind of have to.
I'm totally a vaxxer because I work in healthcare.
Oh, I had my MMR and I grew up just fine.
Twitch.
I drink instead of have a soul, but that's, like, beyond the point.
That's fair. You can have one or the other, but it's kind of hard to have both coexist. So
right. All I'm saying is I'm a productive member of society that pays her taxes and is a homeowner, and I'm nice to animals. So vaxxing really isn't that bad.
Now we'll have another controversial episode.
This episode brought to you by Big Pharma,
GlaxoSmithKline,
and Monsanto. Now that I have a professional mic, I feel like I need to do a radio voice.
There you go.
Instead of my normal, horrible voice. I can't listen to myself. But I'm going to have to go back and listen to this episode now.
I love you. Your voice is not horrible.
I find that there's I listen to one of our radio stations syndicates the Ryan Seacrest Top 40, and one of his co-hosts sounds just like me. I swear. It's really weird.
That's really funny.
Yeah.
Are you stepping out on me?
It's me and Ryan Seacrest. That's how I pay the bills.
Cut me in, sister.
Right?
Yeah.
Getting some of that NBC money.
That's right. Some of that NBC money to go along with that GlaxoSmithKline money. and the Yeti microphones.
Oh, man.
Well, so I have a writer and director, and we've seen both of them before, although I have to be honest and say that I didn't remember having really looked up anything on the director before.
Well, because we didn't podcast this episode.
Oh, but he's done other episodes, and he's done other episodes that we've podcast. Yeah. I just, for some reason, his name didn't stick in my brain, but our writer is Channing Powell.
We as in you and I, or
I'm
we?
Pretty sure we as in you and I.
Okay.
Now you're going to make me get on IMDb, aren't you?
I wasn't sure if it was like the royal we or we as in biters.
No, not like the royal. I don't typically use the royal we. But now you're making me look, so.
Well, we are looking it up also. So, directed by David Boyd. Is that what we were looking up?
Yeah.
I don't know. That seems like a common name. Oh, I feel like I looked at his picture before.
We did The Lost and the Plunderers together, and he directed that.
Okay.
But I don't think we did Service or Heads Up or any of those. I think that if I did any of those, I did those with Brian.
Oh, well, he's got a lot of credits.
So he's got 8 episodes of Walking Dead to his director credits.
One of your favorites, Cherokee Rose.
Right. That's in his, is that in his director credits?
Oh, cinematographer. Sorry.
Yeah, so he had director of photography credits as well.
Man.
Let's see.
He's prolific.
Oh my gosh, he was director of photography on Firefly.
What?
Yeah.
If you have not seen Serenity or Firefly, drop what you're doing and go watch.
And then come back and finish our episode. But
yes.
No, so he was director of photography on Firefly, not director. He directed his first episode of Walking Dead in 2011, and it was an episode called Secrets, which I don't remember which episode that was.
So
that was in season 2. Dale confronts Herschel after Glenn tells him about the walkers in the barn. Meanwhile, Lori struggles to come to terms with her pregnancy, and Shane tries to teach Andrea how to use weapons.
I do remember that episode.
So, okay. That's David Boyd. I don't think that we did any of his episodes other than The Lost and the Plunderers, excuse me.
So he also directed an episode of Once Upon a Time. Does that sound familiar to you?
Certainly in terms of that being something that a lot of people who've worked on The Walking Dead have in common.
So Sonequa Martin Green was in 7 episodes of Once Upon a Time. I don't know if they were in a crossover episode like he directed, she starred. But
I think I kind of remember having this conversation. So maybe that was when we talked at the one time that we did talk about David Boyd.
I think there's been a lot of crossover between Walking Dead people, like cast and crew.
And Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, that's really weird.
I also noticed that he directed an episode of, actually 3 episodes of Longmire, which I know that you and I talked about it because you said that James really likes that series.
Yes, I have watched season 1, but it really didn't click with me. So I have not finished it. Looks like he directed 6 episodes of Friday Night Lights, and I haven't seen the series, but the book was really, really good.
Oh, really? I didn't know it was based on a book because I haven't watched the series, so...
I actually had to read the book for a criminology class.
Oh, how interesting.
And it was kind of, we were dissecting the kind of the psychology behind like small towns and big sports and like familial relationships and things like that.
Oh,
So
you mean like Juno and basketball?
it's football now too.
Oh,
Football
really?
and cheerleading. Yeah, we're like trying to rival Texas.
Oh dear God.
Yeah. Yeah. He directed an episode of The Mist, which is of course the Stephen King novel, which they turned into a movie, which they have since turned into a series. I don't think the series is on anymore, but it was actually a really, really good adaptation.
I also noticed that he had directed 4 episodes of The Night Shift, which is, I think that's an adaptation of a Stephen King novella as well.
Ah.
Pretty sure.
Lots of Stephen King stuff out there.
Oh, no, totally lying. So there is a Stephen King novella or novel called The Night Shift, but this is actually about a hospital in San Antonio, so never mind. I just clicked on it.
Well, he's got cinematography credits for Deadwood, and who's on Deadwood?
Oh, our most beloved Ian McShane and Garrett Dillahunt.
And Madison.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
How interesting.
Yeah. Small world Hollywood is.
Tons of crossover stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think if you can get on any one of like 5 or 6 shows, your career just explodes.
Well, so David Boyd has a couple of other things that are listed as in production or actually they're listed as announced.
Right.
A thing called Netherworld, and then a thing called The Sons of Summer. But I don't know what's happened with them. I kind of looked, and it didn't look like they have really gone very far.
Well, they're just announced, so, I mean, they're not even filming or post-production or anything like that, so...
Announced probably means that they aren't even necessarily picked up.
Yeah. Yeah, it means they have a script together, they just need the financing.
Just minor things like that.
Kind of like us.
Yeah. Sweetie, you got the new mic. That's about as uptown as we get.
Oh, that's funny.
Let's see. So our writer was Channing Powell, and we've talked about her quite a bit before, so I won't spend tons of time on her. Her name is actually Elizabeth Channing Powell, and I think she's got some stuff under E. Channing Powell. But her Walking Dead credits are under Channing Powell.
So just as a side note, I wonder if she did that because it's easier to get picked up, like get your stuff seen if you have a masculine looking name, because generally men were taken more seriously.
I think that still happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Me too.
So her first ever episode that she wrote was Internment.
Wow.
And she joined the writing staff in season 4. So, let's see. She's got a total of 14 episodes of Walking Dead to her credit. And, let's see. She's got one new series coming up. It's called The Feed, and it's in pre-production.
Okay, and so it sounds super interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The synopsis is a man's invention of a brain implant allows people to share thoughts and emotion gets into the wrong hands.
Total sci-fi.
Oh, that is so real life. You know, we are getting to that point because, of course, it's just a constant stream of consciousness on social media. We all share our every thought and activity. So, you know, next is just direct beaming into each other's brains.
Okay, I'm going to totally diverge. Have you ever read anything by James Rollins?
I don't think so.
Okay, you've got to read some James Rollins novels. And the reason that I say that is he writes these really great thrillers about this pseudo-military force called Sigma Force. But his...
Sounds insidious.
Oh, they're so good. But his take on technology that's available is so interesting. He'll actually write modern technology into the books. And then at the end of the story, he'll do a chapter about okay, this is what's real, this is what I made up, and this is kind of where this technology is going.
Oh, that kind of reminds me of what Mira Grant did with
Yes.
her. Yeah, the way she wrote, this is where I see media going. This is like where I got my ideas about infection and things like that. So I love it when writers kind of give you the behind the scenes of where their head was at.
Like, just
And
read one of his novels that has drone technology in it, and it was terrifying.
oh,
Terrifying.
and I can't remember the name of the author. And I can't even totally remember the name of the book. I'll have to see if I can find it. I think it was called Crash or Crashed. And it's about basically we've developed AI technology to the point that we can it's a book by Robin Wasserman. And it's the Skinned series. Crashed is book 2. But basically we can download our consciousness into an AI body, but those AI bodies have no rights. They're still considered property, not people. They can't vote. They have no rights. They can't, own property or have bank accounts and everything. And so this daughter of like a rich guy gets into a really bad car accident, and before she dies, the parents upload her consciousness into an AI body. And it's kind of all about how she was this privileged person and didn't think of these things before. And now that she is living that life, even though she's kind of protected by her parents and her wealth, she's kind of seeing how people like her, conscious in AI bodies, have, none of the things that they should, even, even though they're individual beings. And so it's kind of about the fight for that and the resistance of these AI beings and everything. And it's crazy technology. And, I read the book like 6 or 7 years ago, and the stuff that was in it seemed so out there. And now I'm like, that's totally going to happen someday.
And who's it by?
It's by Robin Wasserman.
Hmm.
And it's a YA book, a young adult teen lit type thing, kind of in the vein of Hunger Games. So if that's your thing, I highly recommend checking it out.
That sounds really good. I'm going to write her name down.
Yeah, I wrote James Rollins down.
Oh, totally read them. They're so good.
I will add that to the list, and in my copious amounts of time between binge watching season 2 through 8, I will totally read that.
Well, seriously, so if I had not already bought you your birthday present, I would send you a James Rollins novel, but I just already bought your present, so it's just super late getting to you because I'm lame.
Oh, yeah, no. I have yours. I just haven't wrapped it or put it in the mail.
Well, you have time.
Okay, so according to USPS, you have until Friday, December 14th to get your stuff in the mail to have it guaranteed there by Christmas. So your birthday is a little later than that, so I can do it next week.
There you go. No worries.
Oh, so we were talking about the writer.
So I didn't have a lot more about Channing Powell because we've talked about her quite a bit, but I just thought it was kind of cool that this was her first episode that she wrote and that she joined the series in season 4, which is, again, my favorite season so far. So,
well, and now I really want to check out her upcoming series, The Feed.
And I'm wondering if it's confirmed for a particular venue or if it's still kind of in, being picked up by something.
Well, it's got a cast. I don't know if it's ABC, NBC, or the all-inclusive Netflix.
I don't know how to figure that stuff out from IMDb.
Yeah, I don't think you really can until it's closer to release.
I guess we could use the Google.
It's in genres of drama and sci-fi, so it may even be the Sci-Fi Network.
Let's see. So Wikipedia. It's set to premiere in 2019 on Amazon Video.
Ah, I was close with the Netflix.
Yeah, totally.
Well, I have Amazon Prime, so that will go on the list.
Prod me to put it on my list too, because it sounds good.
Huh. I wonder if this has anything to do with it. At the very top, right under the IMDb logo, it has Prime Video channels, stars.
I am telling you, the computers listen to everything we do.
They do.
Because Alexa and Facebook totally communicate.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Amazon needs to quit sending me the 12 Days of Christmas sale on cat toys. I have dogs. Where do you get that I have cats? I've never ordered a cat thing in my life. Like, I can see if you, like, sent me baby crap because I've ordered people, like, baby gifts. But cats, I keep getting cat toy recommendations.
Maybe Amazon is trying to tell you something.
I'm allergic.
I was going to say, except you're allergic.
Yeah, I would be a cat hoarder. Like, cats are awesome. Cats are almost as awesome as dogs. They're just easier to take care of. Yeah, I would totally have, like, at least 3. I think I would have at least 3. And that would solve my mice problem.
Your dogs don't take care of your mice for you. You need a little ratter.
Oh, the husky is totally like Garfield. Like, he would let it run over his nose to eat out of his food bowl. He could care less. The lab is like too spastic. She can't even catch a ball. Like, she'll chase the ball, but like if you throw it directly at her, it bounces off her forehead. She has depth perception like me. Yeah, no. So, Amazon Prime Video, The Feed, coming in 2019 by Channing Rollins. Or Channing,
By Channing Powell.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm getting my people crossed.
Yeah, that's okay. James Rollins, Channing Powell.
And
I'll put out a plug for James Rollins novels anytime.
I can keep Rollins in my head because I love Henry Rollins, so.
Right.
Yeah.
The inspiration for Negan.
Yes. Black flag for life.
Well, so this kind of leads us into our featured cast, because our featured cast member has a series that is debuting on Amazon in 2019.
Oh, yes, he does.
About which I am incredibly excited.
It is a Neil Gaiman, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Good Omens.
Yes.
So who's our featured cast member again?
So our featured cast member is David Morrissey, the governor. And the reason being is that this was his first appearance in season 4, and actually his first appearance since the season 3 finale, which was called Welcome to the Tombs.
Right. So we did not see him until the very, very end of the episode, but he features prominently in the rest of the season.
And we had already talked about, to be fair, Scott Wilson, so it didn't really feel like we should dredge up another set of heavy sighs about having lost Scott Wilson so soon.
Yeah. So, David Morrissey. Another Brit,
who, to be fair, seems kind of done with his Walking Dead days.
Oh, most definitely. He has moved on.
I've watched a few of his panels from various cons, and he just seems kind of over it. Yeah. Which is a bummer because, you know, I want people who are at cons to be enthused about being at the cons and enthused about the character that they played. But I can also see that you've probably heard some variation of the questions that are being posed at multiple cons that you've been to at that point.
Well, and you're 4 years removed from the series.
Yeah.
I don't think
almost 5 years removed from the series now.
Yeah.
And actually with filming time, probably 5 years removed from the series now.
Yes. Just 4 years from airing.
Mm-hmm.
So I was not familiar a whole lot with his work. I think probably because a lot of them were British series, which means I need to get BritBox.
You've said that before.
I know.
I'll live vicariously through you when you get BritBox.
Because I have so much time to watch BritBox. Actually, so I went into work like an hour early this morning, and I stayed like an hour and a half late. But I went into work out an hour early, and I didn't actually work. I got ready because the roads are bad this morning. It was like slushy, snowy ice. So I drove in early to avoid the traffic and get parking and everything. And so I sit at my desk and do my makeup. And I actually had my laptop open, and I was watching this episode of The Walking Dead on my laptop in my office at 7 a.m.
Because that's what girls do on their birthdays.
Exactly. So, yeah, in my copious amounts of time between working and putting on my war paint, or taking it off, or ordering it from Sephora, or, I need to get the BritBox.
Absolutely.
Or get sponsored by BritBox and have them send me one.
And if you get sponsored, then I'll get sponsored, and I'll get one too.
You get a BritBox, and you get a BritBox. Everyone gets a BritBox.
And then we all get caught up on everything that David Morrissey is doing.
Right? Doing and has done.
Which, by the way, I would just like to point out that in the intervening years between now and having left The Walking Dead, our fellow David, who is no slouch, played Mark Antony in Julius Caesar on the National Theater Live.
I did see that.
So, no slouch, our David Morrissey.
No, very well done. The thing that I really, really recognized that he was in was The Other Boleyn Girl.
Mm-hmm.
I love that movie. I don't know why.
The book is so good. If you loved the movie, you should read the book.
In my copious amounts of time.
After you read a couple of James Rollins novels. Which, by the way, I'm going to digress again, but guess what I'm reading right now?
What are you reading right now?
Rise, which is a Mira Grant collection of short stories set in the world that the Newsflesh series is set in.
Gosh, dang it!
It's so good!
I need to be a faster reader. I'm just like, I have to picture everything. I can read quickly, and I'm actually very eloquent when I read aloud most of the time, except for when I'm podcasting. But I'm always very, like, I visualize things in my mind as I read. And so I'm a slower reader when I'm reading for pleasure. And
you play it in your head like a movie.
I do.
Yeah.
I do. And so I think probably an average speed reader. But I really wish I could be like the other half and finish like a 300-page paperback in like a day. Not even kidding. Just, you should see how many like ridiculous amounts of paperbacks. Thank God for Kindle.
Don't knock your ability to visualize though, because I don't have that, and I really wish I did.
Yeah, and I think that's why I have a problem with like things that are super immersive, is because I just can't get past it. Like I think I've mentioned the Girl with the Dragon Tattoo books and Game of Thrones. I just there's too much for me to try and visualize in my head, and so I could probably read Game of Thrones now because they have little charts about how people are related and who their houses, what houses they belong to, and things like that. I need it. I'm a visual person. I need it laid out for me. So yeah.
So tell me a little more about David Morrissey.
So he was in a very pivotal episode of Doctor Who.
Oh, really?
Yes, he was in a Christmas Day special that introduced the new Doctor, David Tennant, when David Tennant became the new Doctor.
Okay.
Yeah, so now I want to go back and rewatch that episode of the Doctor and pick him out because I am a Whovian.
Well, so that's one of the, you said pick him out. That's one of the things that I think that is challenging about someone like David Morrissey is that he's been in so much, and I think he's like that ubiquitous Brit that you see, you know? I mean,
Right.
I think that he's probably been in more that you and I have seen, and we just haven't realized it.
Right.
So I'm seeing here that he has a 1991 credit for a Robin Hood movie where he played Little John. And it's the Robin Hood with Patrick Bergin, which was actually a really good Robin Hood retelling. But I don't remember him from that because it's been so long.
I don't think I've seen that.
Oh, it was really good.
Huh.
It came out right around the same time that the Kevin Costner one came out, and it was actually more period and more appropriate, but didn't get nearly the press that the Kevin Costner one did.
Shocking.
Not saying that I don't love Prince of Thieves, I do, but this Robin Hood with Patrick Bergin was quite good.
Interesting.
And it's kind of hard to picture David Morrissey as Little John.
I could actually see it.
I'm going to have to go back and watch it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, he's had a long, industrious career. He's been acting, at least his IMDb credits go back to 1983.
Mm-hmm.
I was 4. Oh. So, his Twitter, he is very politically active on his Twitter, but he's very politically active for London, for the UK.
Ah, so he does not comment on American politics.
No, he doesn't really comment. Every once in a while, he'll retweet Bernie Sanders. So if that tells you whose side he's on, but not very much at all. He is very, very big into helping people with the refugee crisis that multiple countries are having currently.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. So he retweets a lot of that, and any of the tweets like from him, he's usually tweeting out the link to an article. So I don't see a lot of like personal stuff or anything like that. But yeah.
Does he do Instagram or does he just do Twitter?
I think I could only find his Twitter at David Morrissey 64. But there was a link to an Instagram, but it might not have been his. He does stuff for the Bike Project. It helps refugees. I think it helps refugees get bikes for transportation.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah. Let's see. There's an Instagram link. Let's see if he has an Insta.
So that is, while you're looking at that, that's actually a thing that he has in common with Neil Gaiman. Neil Gaiman's very active with refugee causes. And so I wonder if, while he was working on Good Omens, if he and Neil Gaiman talked about that. Because I'm fairly sure Neil Gaiman has been the showrunner for Good Omens. Which is pretty exciting.
David Morrissey is David Morrissey 64 on Insta also.
Okay.
And he's got some really cool shots. Lots of artsy stuff. What is this? Oh, that must be from his Mark Anthony role.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's like that Spartan look where they've got the helmets with the big feathers, red feathers coming out of it.
Oh, very cool.
And he has the ubiquitous picture of him with Stan Lee. I'm sure that was from when Stan Lee died. Yeah, he's got some really cool shots on his Insta.
So, of course, I just added him because, I can't go through a night on podcasting with you where I don't add a David Morrissey or a Norman Reedus or an Andrew Lincoln to my IMDb or, I'm sorry, to my Instagram.
Collins.
Mo Collins. Yeah. Oh, she's great. I love Mo Collins.
Angel Theory. Yeah. Yeah, it looks like he's active with quite a few charities. The Felix Project. They are kind of like freegans. where they save food from the trash to feed the hungry or themselves. So I'm assuming that's what the Felix Project does in Europe.
They collect up other food or collect up food that is going to go to waste and make sure that they feed it to people.
Right.
Cool.
You know, I saw like Jamie Oliver do something like that too, where they take all of the ugly produce, like the apples with bruises and the carrots that aren't like one single stalk and things like that. And they make like gourmet meals out of it and, you know, things like that. So, yeah, it looks like he's very active in charity. So he's a good guy.
Very cool.
Yeah. Did you have anything to add for him? I didn't do very much background with him.
So he started acting with a group called the Everyman's Youth Theatre in Liverpool, and he actually was born in Liverpool, which of course immediately made me think of the Beatles.
Well, the very, very first thing you see on his Instagram is a picture of John Lennon.
Yeah, which I suspect was probably to coincide with the recent anniversary of John Lennon's death.
That's right. Mm-hmm. I was watching that on CNN.
But so he actually was born in 1964, so he was a little late for the Beatles. But
you're never too late for the Beatles.
Right. So
we
very
actually,
true.
One of our local radio stations, every day at 5:00, the drive at 5 is the Beatles hour.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I love that.
Right?
I'm going to have to go tell that snitch Alexa to play the Beatles for me. Let's see. I thought one of the things that was super interesting is his wife is a novelist, and she also is the great-granddaughter of Freud.
What?
Right? Could you imagine how that conversation went? Oh, by the way, my granddad was Sigmund Freud. What?
That's amazing. You know, only people in Europe, or if you've done like 23andMe, can you trace your lineage back to somebody cool like that.
I'm sure that we have an ancestor who snuck onto some boat somewhere.
And of course, we're all related to Jefferson because that guy was prolific. You're like 3 steps removed from an ancestor, like a direct descendant of Jefferson.
That's kind of gross. The whole U.S. is inbred through Thomas Jefferson.
We're all inbred. Whether you believe we came from 2 people that God created or a tribe of monkeys, we are all inbred. There are 8 billion of us.
God, has the number gotten up to 8 billion?
Just about.
Oh, that's horrifying.
It's time for a zombie apocalypse.
It is. Where kangaroos can amplify. I'm in Australia with Mira Grant right now, so.
Oh, I just saw something that have you ever seen the picture of that super jacked kangaroo? Like he's like super muscly.
Yeah.
He just died.
Oh.
I know. I'm like, that's so random.
Hopefully only once.
That came up. Yeah. No zombie kangaroos. Of course, in Mira Grant's book, that's a possibility. Is that a possibility?
Yes.
Marsupials are mammals.
That's
correct?
part of the reason that that they're in Australia in this short story is that the rabbit-proof fence is actually keeping the infected out and away from the Australian population.
Oh.
It's a really good story.
What's a rabbit-proof fence?
Oh, so there's a huge fence across Australia that was made to keep rabbits from becoming an invasive species and destroying the indigenous species of Australia.
Wow. Kind of like...
totally need to read the Mira Grant book now.
We have our own version of that in Alaska. We had to rename Rat Island because there's no more rats on it. Originally, there was no rats on it.
I've never heard of it.
Oh, ships. So there was no rats on it. They became an invasive species when ships landed there, and they'd run off the ships, and they like decimated the local bird population. And there's been this huge effort to get rid of all of the rats on the island. And I think as of like 2 years ago, they had officially eradicated the rat population on the island. And so they were officially looking to rename Rat Island. I don't know what they renamed it to.
I have seriously never heard of that. That is crazy.
Crazy Alaska.
Totally. Where in Mira Grant's world, you could have zombie moose.
I know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or zombie sea lions. Those suckers are mean.
God. That would be horrifying. So if anyone hasn't read the Newsflash novels by Mira Grant and you're interested in a ripping good zombie read, highly recommend them. The first book is called Feed.
Okay, and it's actually a fairly sizable book. And I was just talking about how slow of a reader I was. I think I demolished it in like 2 days.
That's pretty impressive.
So Rat Island is a volcanic group of islands on the Aleutians. So it's between Boulder Island and Near Island. Yeah. So. But I don't think it's called Rat Island anymore.
This episode of Biter is sponsored by the Alaska Geographic Society. We're terrible. We haven't even gotten to Whisperer's Corner yet.
Is there a Whisperer's Corner?
There is a Whisperer's Corner. I've got 3 things for Whisperer's Corner. Okay. So the first is that Seth Gilliam swears it was not Gabriel's fault that Negan escaped.
See? You know, for as much as I don't like Father Gabe, I'm not going to rag on him for that. That it was like there was another guard there who left last.
This is from Inquisitor.com, and that's exactly what gets planted in that article, is that possibly even the guard let Negan out on purpose.
Shocking.
Well, so someone was saying that, you know, there's all these saviors that have been kind of incorporated into our society now. And that
we are Negan.
Maybe he was a former savior who was just looking for the right time.
Wow, that's a lot of plotting. 6 years.
Right?
We are still Negan.
7.5 years. I mean, if you think about both time jumps.
Wow.
So, but Seth Gilliam is saying, don't blame Father Gabe.
Yeah, no. Listen to me and Seth Gilliam. Don't blame Father Gabe.
So another thing that I've gotten, this is another one of those listen to you moments, but it is confirmed that Tom Paine, aka Jesus, is coming back in the second half of season 9.
Told ya.
And that there's actually going to be an explanation of what happened in the 6 years, that time jump, what happened to create such friction between all of our communities, and that Jesus is going to be part of those episodes, or that episode.
Yeah.
The article didn't really go into any great detail about how they were going to play it all out, if it was going to be a series of flashbacks or like a single flashback episode, but that's how we're going to see Tom Paine again.
Yeah. I figured. I mean, I don't think you can go I think you can go 18 months, 2 years without some flashback explanations, but 6 years is a lot, especially considering people have physical and mental scars that haven't been explained away. So
that's what I was going to say. They're just setting so much up, you know, that we have to get answers.
Definitely.
And then my last thing for Whisperer's Corner is actually swiped from the Walking Dead cast. So thank you, Jason and Karen. I don't think either of them listens, but thank you anyway. Jeffrey Dean Morgan is returning to Supernatural for their 300th episode.
That's another one that I really wanted to get into. And every 3 years, I'm I really should get into that. But now it's been on for 12 dang seasons or something, right?
I'm going to confess, I've tried to get into it, and although I really like Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I just can't get into it.
Doesn't he play the devil?
No, he plays the dad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he plays the dad of the 2 main characters.
Okay. I love Jeffrey Dean Morgan on The Good Wife. Oh, he basically plays Negan light. He's like Negan before he was Negan.
He's like Negan when he was married to Lucille.
Yeah. Yeah. He's got the leather jacket and everything.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. So I just looked something up, and the Metro, as of 1 hour ago, has a headline that says, "The Walking Dead Austin Emilio confirmed Dwight is not dead as he teases incredible comeback."
Yay!
Yay!
So Dwight does have quite the arc in the comic books, so I wonder if we're going to see him come back for some of that arc.
That would be awesome. I would love a follow-up to that. And
Mm-hmm.
it could be anything. It could be, I found my wife and she hates my guts, or I found my wife and we fell in love again, or I never found my wife. I just want to, like, something, anything. Give me anything.
And do you think Daryl will be calm enough now that he'll be able to accept Dwight coming back?
I don't know. It depends on what caused all of the scars. I mean, he may yeah,
Ooh, maybe he's part of that whole plot line.
maybe.
Ooh.
Bringing Dwight and his wife and some of their friends into Alexandria, and those people turn on him. Like,
That would be terrible.
total spitballing. Like, I don't know.
I like it.
Yeah. Yeah. But I'm excited for that.
Yeah, that was a good find.
Thanks, Google.
All right, so good, bad, and ugly. Tell me what your good for this episode was.
So okay.
Did you have one?
Apparently I didn't have one. I have written down, or I have underlined, if you're not ready to lose one, you're gonna lose them all.
Which is what Caleb said to Herschel.
Yes. And you know, I just, it's such a real moment. I mean, it's the doctor knows. I mean, he even talks about that he's in the end stage, and Herschel really wasn't ready to lose one, so he was going to lose everybody if he didn't sacrifice one. And at that time, this episode, we saw Herschel kill a zombie for the first time. And so I think
he actually killed zombies at the end of season 2 when they overran the farm.
Okay, I'm sorry. He hasn't killed anyone he's known.
Okay.
Because he and Glenn talked about that. Glenn's like, have you done this yet? Have you had to do this yet? And he said, no, someone died last night. And
didn't Sasha do it?
Sasha took care of it.
Yeah.
And so we see him not once, but a few times in this episode have to kill people that were former patients, not even just friends or things like that. Like, he cared for these people. He, stayed up all night and squeezed the intubation bag and everything for them. And so he was not ready to lose any one of them. And because of that, he was going to lose all of them. And I think he finally took that to heart and, started to do what needed to be done to get over this, because, this illness was ready to wipe out everyone out. And, he kind of did what had to be done.
I think the turning point was really when Glenn started to aspirate, and then kind of all hell broke loose in the prison cell or prison block.
Right. Yeah. I mean, he lost the other doctor, Dr. S. And Glenn wasn't doing too good. And I think he had just found Sasha passed out. And, by the end, I think he started to get sick too. And he just knew that he was losing control. And, he had to face it. He couldn't save everybody. You can't save everybody.
Very true.
I really love that. I had specifically underlined, if you're not ready to lose one, you're going to lose them all. So that was my good. It was a very sad good, but it resonated with me.
Mm-hmm.
So what was your good, Mrs. 5.0?
So my good was Carl and Rick teaming up to fight the zombies on the fence.
I loved that.
I just loved the firefight, and there's one moment in particular where
Rick looks at Carl.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, he just gives him this look like, who are you and who replaced my son?
Yeah, he's like, wow, my son is capable of some awesome stuff.
Mm-hmm.
My son's a badass.
So that, it's kind of a one moment out of a big episode, but it's a big moment out of the episode where just they team up to kill the Zeds that have broken through the fence.
And I think that was one of those, that was one of the moments that you always look back on, because Carl makes it so far in the books and we've lost him in the series. I think that's one of the moments that you look back on and you're like, that kid is born for the zombie apocalypse. Because the moment was, he had just taken out a whole bunch of walkers and, Rick's magazine was empty and Carl grabs his spare and tosses it to his dad and then just like moves on,
Yep.
Uh-oh.
Sorry, we're having a moment.
Somebody wants on their chair?
Probably, or she probably lost possession of her ball, or she's mad that I'm not out with her.
It could be any one of a number of things.
She has decided that she rules the roost.
Oh, that's funny. I thought that was Yami.
No, it's the new foster, or the new foster fail.
The latest foster fail.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I also that moment just resonated with me too, when that look that Rick just conveys, like unspeakable amounts of dialogue in one look.
Yes. Totally.
Yep.
Well, what about your bad? So tell me what your bad for this episode is.
We've kind of learned it at this point in the zombie apocalypse. And in 10 years, we've finally gotten to the point where we don't let zombies line up on the fence anymore.
Right.
But you would have thought, like, I don't know, a year or 2 or 3 in, we weren't going to let zombies just like lean up against a chain link fence, They were taking all this time and effort to take these logs and press them up against the fence and shore up the fences. And Maggie was out there stabbing them in the head, but it was just her. And then you see Rick and Carl, like, putting the logs up against the fence. And it's like, stop, just go and just stab them on the head, or like walk circles around so that they're not pushing on that like 10-foot section, like make them spread out.
What a good strategy. Distract them. Yeah.
Right. I'm just like, why are we letting these things pile up on the fence? It's a chain link fence. It's not like it's like, the steel fence of Alexandria or anything, which, still wouldn't hold up to, the giant hordes that we're seeing now. And it's no wonder they pushed through. I mean, just get out there with a long pokey stick and stab them in the eyeball, just have someone doing it day and night. It annoyed me all over again. We've talked about it on the show. Don't let them build up on the fence, even if it's just 1 or 2 or 3, because 3 becomes 6 and then it's 12 and then it's 80.
I think I'm willing to cut them a little bit of slack in this just because it feels like they're still pretty early in the zombie apocalypse. Although you're right. I mean, they should have seen the impending catastrophe.
Right. And who wants to be inside while there's a pandemic going on? Put me on fence duty.
Good point.
Gonna get some fresh air. I'm gonna be productive. I'm not gonna catch the death flu.
The Ebola flu.
Right? Herpetocephalitis.
I don't know where you came up with that, but that was awesome.
Oh. Yeah, it's the same old, but it brought me right back to had we not learned these lessons yet, really?
Not at the beginning of season 4, no. No,
and like I think even up to like through season 7, we were walking into places and it's just 1 or 2 and they're way over there. Yeah. So what was your bad?
So my bad was what The Walking Dead at its worst does even when it's at its best, which is telegraphing a character's death. So we've seen it before, we've seen it since this episode, but just the build-up episode for Herschel giving him kind of the heroic episode just completely telegraphed that he was going to die.
But he didn't die till like way later.
No, he died 2 episodes after this. No, not 2 episodes. Like, this was 3 episodes after this, because he died in the mid-season finale.
Oh, was it really that long ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
His character is still shaping people to this day.
Yeah, so they completely telegraphed his death by giving him this hero episode, but dang, what an episode.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize he died so quickly after this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because the next thing that we see, the thing that we see at the end of this episode is that he's going out beyond the fence with Michonne, and they're captured by the governor.
Oh, you're right, because the next episode is when the governor meets Tara's family.
Mm-hmm. And we've got 2 episodes of the governor meeting Tara's family, and kind of that whole arc.
Wow.
And then that leads into the mid-season finale where Herschel dies.
I really, really need to go back and binge.
Am I creating more of a desire in going back and binging?
I am. Now
Good.
I'm like, who needs sleep? I was up killing zombies at 2:30 a.m. Thank you very much. I don't know why I woke up at 2:30 Alaska time. I couldn't fall back asleep, but I logged into Walking Dead Our World, and a lot of our team is Central Time, so they were just getting up for the day and headed to work. And I think there's a couple people who are, maybe they're not US, I don't know, but we've got a whole bunch of different people on our World team that are time zones away from us. And so for me to be playing at 2:30 in the morning when everyone's active was just crazy.
I have got to tell you that you all are making me question my worth as a human being. Oh my God. Every time I log in, there's like a whole board completely cleared and another half of one done.
So yesterday after work, I completed like half of the squares on the board by myself.
Mm-hmm.
I completed 11 out of 22 squares. And that was so, and to be fair, your stuff comes up when you've completed, 51% of the challenges. So if it's to kill 100 heavy walkers or something, if I did 51, it was my stats that went up. Mm-hmm. So it wasn't all me on all those 11 challenges, but I gotta say it was pretty cool seeing my stats on 11 out of 22 of those boards. So
pretty cool.
Yeah. It's a fun game. If it is definitely a time suck, but it will get you moving because you're like, oh, I just need to do this one thing. And so I'm going to walk around the block because I need to collect energy crates or whatever. Yeah. It gets you moving.
Not here at 20 degrees with snow.
No.
I got to be honest.
You're thankful for our flares.
I am thankful for flares. Yep.
Oh, that's funny.
All right. Tell me you're ugly.
That ugly intubation tube.
Oh. Yeah, rinsing it off with alcohol.
Not effective. Like,
we all have the virus anyway, so.
I know, but I'm just like, like you just ripped it out of the throat of a walker. I don't know how much.
I couldn't tell though, because I've watched this, and again, I've watched this episode multiple times, but it looks like he opens a new tube and is just reusing the bag.
The bag, okay.
That's what it looks like. But he also has a bottle of alcohol there, so I'm like, is he using the alcohol to sterilize the end of the bag? What exactly is going on there? And
I was trying to figure out that too, because I couldn't quite tell from the show itself. And in the synopsis, it says, sees Herschel struggling to retrieve the tube from Henry. She kills Henry and with Herschel rushes to Glenn's side to administer the tube.
I think he actually opens a new tube, and I think it's just the bag.
Okay.
Pretty sure.
So maybe it's just a continuity error on their part that, yeah. But I was just like, oh my God, we're using the tube. Do you really only have one bag if you have several tubes?
So thinking about crash carts that I've worked with, you know, you always have more than one bag, but you don't have like a bag for every tube because there's multiple different sizes of endotracheal tubes. So you'll have like 12 tubes on a crash cart and have 2 bags. Okay,
so the bags have a one-way valve that nobody can aspirate stuff into them, right?
Well, they do, but you know, you don't reuse a bag.
Okay, good.
In this day and age, in this modern world, you don't reuse a bag. In the zombie apocalypse, yeah, you probably reuse a bag.
I'm just thinking Glenn's getting Walker lung air pumped into him.
We're all infected.
I know. It's just, okay, intubation ooks me out anyway. Like, just as a legitimate medical practice, I just, like, I've seen even like the whole on television when they insert them or when they pull them out or when they screw up inserting them, or like, I think it's because I'm an asthmatic and I've had airway restriction before and just the whole not being able to breathe freaks me out, but then having a tube like in there, like, So
I seriously worked with an anesthesiologist who intubated himself in front of a group of people.
No.
Uh-huh.
Was he like a sword swallower on the side? Like
probably.
Oh, how does that even work?
He was kind of crazy. His nickname was Crash. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah, you know, you were telling me about that migraine med the other day where you're like, yeah, you have to give yourself an injection every month. I'm like, nope. But it's kind of like one of those auto injector pens. I think I could do that.
You
but
could
like,
totally do it.
Yeah, I'm like, you know,
Especially if it reduced the severity and the frequency of your migraines, you could totally do it.
I think the reason why I drink is because I could never use any drug that has to go in my veins or up my nose. So, you know, by default, it's alcohol.
I'm so proud. Happy birthday.
The only thing that keeps me from being an intravenous drug user is the needles. No, seriously. And what's funny is I don't have a problem with anybody else. Like when they're like, hey, this is our trainee nurse, you know, who would like to poke you 6 times in one arm. Yeah, I'm just like, yeah, sure, go ahead. Like I have no problems with somebody else doing it. I can't imagine how that works, that you get your vein yourself. No,
that is so funny because as a healthcare professional, I'm like,
you have to
get your needles away from me. Get your trainee and get your needles away from me. I give it the office. I don't give it home.
Oh, no, there was one time where like, I think they left the trainee with me and like, I don't think they're supposed to, but they left him with me. And like, they had blown all of the veins on the back of my hand in the bend of one arm. And I think he was like, he had blown the second one on the back of a hand, which the back of the hand ones really, really hurt.
Yeah.
He had like, I was like grimacing and like the legit person turned around and she's like, oh, you know, after like the 3rd one, you can request me to do it. I was like, oh, okay. I'll remember that on the 8th time next time.
Yeah. Thanks for telling me now.
Yeah. And what's with the numbing shots? Don't give me a shot to give me a shot. Just give me the shot. Like,
you know, for some people it makes it more tolerable.
Really? I'm just like, nope. Like, one and done. That's good. But like, I did allergy shots. I did immunotherapy for 5 years. Because of my thyroid, I get my blood drawn every 90 days. You know, like I have no problems with needles, but intubation tubes. Oh no, nope. And like, I get it. I have been with airway restriction before where you will literally do anything to breathe. I carry around an EpiPen and I'm like, I could never stab myself with this. And then I remember what it's like to have airway restriction. And I'm like, no, I could totally stab myself with this EpiPen. Like, if it ever came to it, I think you would do anything to breathe. And yeah, but still, intubation tubes ook me out.
So I have to say, even though this episode will always be perfect to me, looking at the post-intubation shots where they show them breathing for Glenn and breathing for Henry, the guy who turned into the walker, the amount of tube that's actually still out of the person's mouth, just from a little, like, I know how to do this standpoint, kind of bothered me.
And I was wondering about that. So, like, usually when there's an intubation tube, the person is unconscious, right?
Typically.
Like, you don't usually have a conscious person with the tube.
Correct.
Because, I mean, I know Glenn was, like, basically passing out at that point, and he was kind of struggling. Herschel was trying to get him to calm down, you know, to get the tube in. But he just looked a little too serene after the tube was in. I'm like, I think I would probably still be struggling.
Well, what's really interesting, so I worked recovery room for a few years, and that's when someone is coming out of surgery, and they'll come out very often with the tube still in place, and wake up with that in their throat. Yeah. I mean, you have no memory of it.
No.
But...
No, you know, my surgery to remove my gallbladder, they woke me up to tell me that I could have pain medication at any time. And like 12 hours later, I finally called the nurse and I was like, I'm in a lot of pain. And they're like, we told you could have pain medication like 12 hours ago. I was like, you woke me up from surgery to say that. I don't remember. So yeah, I could see how you wouldn't remember the intubation tube being taken out, but it looks pretty violent when the person's awake. Like, it's basically just, it looks like it's just ripping that tube out.
So,
like,
you know, fortunately, we have the technology, and it's actually not violent.
Oh, okay.
No.
It must have been
come
like
out pretty quickly.
Must have been an episode of Chicago Hope or something. Yeah, so that was my ugly. It was kind of a bad ugly just because intubation tubes ook me out. What was your ugly?
So my ugly was the same as my bad, which is, but what a way to telegraph a death. I mean, really? I loved this episode, and I just loved the buildup of Herschel as a character, and I just loved the development of Herschel as a character. So if that's what they had to do, and in doing so telegraphed his death, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. You know, the big scenes that stick out with Herschel for me are, of course, him on his farm, and he was very standoffish and everything. And
yeah, I did not love him in season 2.
No. And then the next thing that flashes for me is him in the bar. And it was him, Rick, and somebody else.
Wasn't it Daryl?
I think it might have been Daryl. And like those guys come in to start trouble. And, I think that's really when Herschel kind of turned that corner. He wasn't quite there. He was getting there, but I think that was the corner turn when he became the Herschel that we all fell in love with. And then it was Herschel losing his foot.
Oh, his leg. Yeah. His lower leg. Yeah.
I think that I love the character development. Like I said, he is still affecting people's lives and shaping characters long after he's been gone.
You know, as shown by having him in the final episode for Rick. Yes.
And, up until she disappeared, Maggie referred to him not just because she named her baby after him, but, she still carries around his pocket watch, and she really tries to live up to the person that her father taught her to be. And so I just... his character is still very reflected in the show, and he's loved and missed. Yeah.
Great character. Great acting by Scott Wilson. I loved him.
Yeah.
So what have you got for Rotting Potpourri?
This was I don't know if it was this or the previous episode that I would classify a huge point or a turning point or a monument.
Are you still there? Are you there?
Yep. I just
lost you for just a second.
Yeah, I got this weird little boop, boop, boop.
So you were talking about you didn't know if you would categorize this episode or the previous episode as a big monumental moment.
But the banishment of Carol.
Right. So as I was watching this, I was like, oh my God, this is right after Rick exiles Carol.
Yeah. Yeah, and he took her and he dropped her off, and he didn't get much pushback from her. She was like, "Yeah, I totally killed those people because they were infecting everybody."
Mm-hmm.
And they meet up with those two kind of hippy dippy characters. Do you remember them?
One of whom we see again.
Yeah, we see him in Terminus again.
Yeah.
I just love that guy. He's in.
He plays the Penguin in Gotham.
He does, but he was also in a movie, Undeclared, and he played a guy named Abernathy Darwin Dunlap, ADD for short.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, and so I love that character, and I just think it was so cool that he was able to get into The Walking Dead. Robin Lord Taylor is his name. But yeah, so just the flashbacks to all, Carol getting banished and thinking of what happened to her next, Well,
and Rick had to tell everybody,
Yeah. And when Daryl comes back and he asks Herschel, "Where's Carol?" And Herschel's like, "Ask Rick."
Yeah, she's okay.
But you need to talk to Rick.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, and it was really for her own good because wasn't it Tyrese's sister or brother?
It was Tyrese's girlfriend.
Tyrese's girlfriend. Karen. That she killed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so he basically did it to save her life. But I mean, that was a really pivotal point in their relationship. And, a flashback to 5 years ago when we were like, oh my God, Carol's banished. What's going to happen? And then she comes back and saves everyone in Terminus with her meat poncho. And
the collapsed time. What a short period of time it was from her banishment to actually showing up and rescuing them at Terminus. I mean, for us, it was episodes, and crossing over into a new season.
Yeah.
But it really was not a very long period of time at all.
Yeah. Do you have anything?
Well, like I said, I watched it and I was thinking, boy, it's just really weird to watch all of these characters who are gone, because I would have to say the bulk of the people who were in this episode are no longer on the show.
Yep.
Tyrese, Sasha, Maggie, Glenn, Herschel.
Lizzie, the world's best babysitter.
Yes.
So it was funny in this episode. She was luring Henry away like a dog.
Right.
Do you remember that?
Good boy.
Come on, Henry. Let's go this way. Come on. And I'm just like, oh, I wonder if they knew where they were driving her character during that moment, or if that was just happenstance.
They had to have, because the Grove is part of season 4 also, and that's where Lizzie dies.
That's true.
So they had to have had it all mapped out.
At the time, it just you kind of got that she was trying to lure him away to get him away from the people who were trying to help Glenn and Herschel, who was dealing with, I think, the other woman walker that had, reanimated and everything. And you didn't read too much into it. But then after what caused Lizzie's death, basically, you're like, ugh, she really did think that they were her friends. Yeah.
Let's see. Another thing that I wrote down is this is kind of the last we see of Farmer Rick. After everything with Carl, where they stave off the walkers and gun them all down, they take a moment and they're out picking peas together.
Beans.
I thought they were pea pods.
The synopsis refers to them as beans.
I'm pretty sure if you look at them, they were pea pods.
They're like snap peas.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're like sugar snap peas or something.
That's what I thought.
Yeah. Yeah. That's funny. Is it the end of his farming?
I think it's the last we see of him as Farmer Rick. Well,
Yeah,
although not really, because then we see kind of him embracing some of that again in Alexandria.
Yeah.
But, you know, there were a lot of references to Farmer Rick in season 3 and the beginning of season 4. And this is kind of the end of that role in season 4.
Okay. Yeah, because right after that, the governor attacks, I think. We get 2 governor heavy episodes and then the attack, really.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So today's...
Oh, go ahead.
Today's Wednesday. Did you have spaghetti?
No, we did not.
Spaghetti Tuesday?
Spaghetti Tuesday every Wednesday.
Every Wednesday. And our first order of business is to find some spaghetti.
Right. No, we did not have spaghetti tonight, although it would have been very apropos if we had.
Right. This was Sushi Wednesday for me.
It was Steak Wednesday here. So another thing, and I did mention it, but oh my God, the soundtrack for this season was so good. It was really short. There were only like 5 songs released on the album, but oh, they were so good. And the song that was featured in this was a song called Oats in the Water by Ben Howard.
You know,
Such
it
a
was
good song.
So fitting for the moment.
Mm-hmm.
It was very like low tempo, but it was also kind of heightening the anxiety, and just it was the perfect fit for this episode. I did notice. I think they played it 2 or 3 times.
They did. They used the song at least twice in the episode.
It was very effective.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
Really good soundtrack. Really worth downloading.
I totally agreed with your rating on that one. I think that's all that I really had. Like I said, this was kind of a middle book episode for me.
I mean, for as much as I love this episode, I don't have a lot else to talk about. But to me, it will always be a 5, even though when I rewatched it, I was not entirely sure it was a 5.
You know, this is one that I knew that it happened, but I couldn't have told you everything that happened in the one episode. But there was so much that it was kind of blocked between a couple of big episodes, you know, the finding of the burned bodies and then the story of the governor. And so it was tucked right in there.
And as you pointed out, the banishment of Carol.
Banishment of Carol. Yeah. Yep.
So, oh no, go ahead.
That's all I had.
I was just going to ask you what you want to do next week. Do we want to watch Pollyanna McIntosh's movie, or do you want to let me know what episode of The Walking Dead you want to watch?
I think we should watch the Pollyanna McIntosh movie.
Okay.
So it'll be movie show. Okay,
that sounds good. So it's called Let Us Pray, Prey, right?
Yes.
And you said it's available on Amazon Prime?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So let's see. That will put us in. It'll be like the 18th or 19th. Yeah, there's no... I'm sorry. February is the return date. So we'll still have to come up with some other stuff to fill in for the weeks.
We'll have plenty of episodes we can watch, or we'll find movies. It'll be fine.
Maybe we'll take a week off.
We could possibly take a week off. We can talk about that. Maybe Christmas week.
Maybe Christmas week.
That might not be a bad idea.
Yeah. We'll see.
But next week, we'll podcast Let Us Pray.
Let's pray. Yep. So stay tuned for that one.
All right. But until then,
remember,
take it one dead day at a time.
It's no better with the new mic.
That's a little better with the new mic.
Still user error.
All right.
All right, everyone.
Happy birthday, little sister. Everybody have a good week.
Thank you, and a very merry unbirthday to you all.
See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.